Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new year. My name is Tyleiah.
And I'm Claude. It's nice to see y'all again. Let's get right into the news.
We are just 12 days away from the presidential inauguration of the new President of the United States. President-elect Joe Biden is expected to be sworn into the White House. There is just one more step before completing this process, which is the certification of the Electoral College votes. The Electoral College votes have been counted, and on January 6th, were satisfied by the Congress and confirm Biden as the official winner of the 2020 election. This certification, however, was not as easy as we hoped it would be. 11 Republican senators, who were led by Senator Ted Cruz from Texas, have already said that they wanted a 10-day delay of the certification of the election results. They believe that there is widespread voter fraud and that this election posed violations to election law and other voting irregularities. This is a claim that had no real evidence to back it up. Trump has been fueling this thought and said that many more senators will refuse to certify Biden's win on Wednesday. Now, there are more than a dozen of senators saying that they will contest the certification of the votes. This is not the first strategy that President Trump has tried to do to overturn the election. One of the strategies include more than 60 attempts that have been taken to the court and has been shot down every single time. I think that as far as our elections, we should do what is right. I don't think that some votes should just not be counted or thought about because our president disagrees with our nation's democracy. I feel as though the American people have a voice and that we should be able to have the rightful winner as our president.
To continue our talks about Trump's effort to overturn the election, a phone call between Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and his staff and President Donald Trump was released to many sources including CNN and the Washington Post. In this call, Trump continued to spread false claims of voter fraud within Georgia, including a mass number of dead people supposedly voting a mystery drop of ballots that most likely refers to ballots counted after midnight on election day that are still legal, false claims with Dominion voting machines, and false claims that signature checks haven't already been done on voting ballots. Each time Trump would speak on these claims, both Raffensperger and his staff would speak on the evidence that proved all these claims false. Trump would often spout about having evidence that proves these claims, but whenever Raffensperger and his staff would ask Trump to show that evidence, Trump would refuse to do so. Throughout the call, Trump berated Raffensperger, tried to flatter him, begged for something to be done, and threatened Raffensperger with vague consequences in order to have him overturn the results that came out of Georgia. However, the most controversial part of the phone call was when Trump asked Raffensperger to find votes so he can win. To quote Trump, "All I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state." For me, this phone call was horrible to listen to. Trump reliance on false claims and begging and threatening an official to swing the vote into his favor undermines the American democracy. It shows how un-American Trump truly is because he is willing to destroy our democracy just to stay in power. If I were the people in Georgia, I would not stand for Trump's effort to nullify the people's vote.
With President Trump rounding up in his efforts to stay in power, the Republican Party is split over whether to back him or oppose him, causing a major political test. Republicans entered the new Congress on Sunday, divided over the question of whether to acknowledge the fact and reality that Trump has lost the election or to support his attempts to overturn the election results. Former House Speaker Paul Ryan said that efforts to overturn the election would strike down our democracy and what builds the foundation of our country. Other Republicans, such as Liz Cheney, also stated that it would disenfranchise the American people, saying that this would be an extremely dangerous move. After the call with Raffensperger, many Republicans thought negatively about the call and said that it was absolutely appalling. Many of the Republicans are starting to see the bad of what's going on in our country, but many of them still willingly support Trump in his efforts to steal the election. I think that it is positive that people are starting to wake up and smell the awful smell Trump has put into the air. Millions of people's democracy will be stripped from them if such a move to overturn the election were to take place.
Now it's time for the news y'all have been waiting for, TCS News.
On the final Friday of 2020, we watched The Polar Express. The Polar Express is a movie about a young boy who doubts the thought of Santa and the Christmas season and went on a daring journey to the North Pole with many other kids. They went on a long journey where many messages are displayed throughout the movie, such as believe, depend on others, and many other important messages for those who are having trouble with the true spirit of Christmas. I personally really enjoyed the movie. I always watch this movie during the Christmas time, but always seem to see something different. What did you think about the movie, Claude?
I thought the movie was good. It definitely had some great messages. Before we watched the movie, we had one last writing class with Mr. Don before the end of 2020. For our final writing of the year, we all wrote letters or stories to Mr. Tom about the many moments and experiences we shared. It ranged from stories while we were remote learning to stories from our first 2 years in the school. My favorite memory will always be all the jokes me and Mr. Tom have made. I hope he isn't too old to forget them. How do you feel about the writing class, Tyleiah?
I thought that the writing class was an excellent time to relive some of the memories that I have experienced in my past 3 years at the school. It was filled with many laughs, and I am sure it touched Mr. Tom's heart. Mr. Tom always expresses how much letters mean to him, so I am glad that he got letters from all of us. I want to send a big thanks to Mr. Tom and Miss Peg for supplying us with the very cozy hoodies with the TCS logo. I always wanted a hoodie or jacket representing the school. I also wanted to thank you guys for the very delicious goodie bags. I really enjoyed the peppermint bark. I wanted to lastly thank Mr. Don for supplying us with the Apple gift cards. I really appreciate all the gifts you have given us for Christmas. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the amazing gifts. I enjoy them all very much. Tuesday, December 22nd was the final school day of 2020. The entire school went on winter break for the holidays and New Year's. I hope everyone enjoyed their break and are rejuvenated for the rest of the school year. I also hope everyone enjoyed their holiday. I know I did. Hamburger Hellboy is a very good Christmas dinner. How was your holiday, Tyleiah?
My winter break was filled with a lot of movies and many other activities with my family. I am just glad that we are back in the spin of things. We are now in a new year, and this means new beginnings, right? On our first day back, we took about an hour or so to recap our winter break. We then took time to talk about things we wanted to do differently this year that we hadn't done in 2020. For me personally, I want to work on being a more positive person and getting more accomplished this year than I had the years before. What were some of the things that you wanted to work on?
I just really want to work on myself so I can be prepared and ready for the new life ahead of me in college. Now we would like to thank everyone who donated a lunch before and after break. Thank you, Mr. Ken, for the Chipotle.
Thank you so much, Miss Mary Louise, for bringing in the Italian cold cuts.
Thank you, Miss Martha, for the French toast casserole.
Thank you, Miss Carol, for the yummy beef pasta dish.
And thank you again, Miss Carol, for the meatloaf and scalloped potatoes.
Your help is greatly appreciated, and I really enjoy all of these lunches. Well, thank you for watching. Let's make 2020 a year to remember.
See you guys in the next one.